Everyone, and welcome to the Andela and OpenAI Accelerator program or event. We are glad to have you guys joining us today from wherever you are. I know many of us were originally expecting to gather physically, but even though we're meeting virtually, we still have a powerful evening ahead. Since I cannot see everyone watching, the chat is how I'll hear your voices today. So please do not be silent. Don't be a silent viewer. Drop in your thoughts, react, respond to prompts, and help us keep the energy alive today. To warm us up, let's start with this. A simple request from wherever anyone is joining us from. So wherever you are joining us from today, drop your city, country, neighborhood, or even current setup in the chat. We're looking forward to those comments. So I can't wait to hear what you guys are doing or where you guys are joining us from today. Um, so tonight we are celebrating Andela and OpenAI Codex Accelerator, which was a 3-week learning program designed to help the Kenyan-based talent build practical proficiency with OpenAI Codex for real-world software development workflows. We'll begin with a fireside conversation featuring our own Kate Woska and Emmanuel from OpenAI, and later we'll move on to the capstone project, showcase, and award ceremony. So stay with us, stay active in the chat, and let us begin. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Kate Woska, who is the VP for Africa, Middle East, and Impact Partnerships. Kate's work focuses on building partnerships that expand opportunity for technical talent, making a key voice in tonight's conversation about talent, AI, and the future of work. And also Emmanuel Lubanzadio, I hope I've pronounced that well, from OpenAI. And Emmanuel is OpenAI's Africa lead. Emmanuel brings a conversational perspective on AI adoption, developer empowerment, and opportunities emerging from technologies creating for builders across Africa. They will help us reflect on the role of AI in software development and the opportunity behind Codex and why programs like this matter for builders across Kenya and beyond. Kate and Emmanuel, welcome. Over to you.
All right, and here we are.
Kate.
It's nice to be together.
Likewise.
So I thought we could just kick off with a question based on something I've heard you talk about before, which is that you really want to see technologists on the continent leading the future of AI as opposed to just consuming it.
Yeah.
But can you tell me, and maybe our audience, what does that look like in practice?
Yeah. Well, from a company perspective, OpenAI's mission is that humanity, or AGI, benefits all of humanity. And in order for it to happen, people, particularly in this context, African youth, need to be empowered. For this reason, we do see our tools, namely ChatGPT, Codex, which obviously the amazing talent has been working on, as a tool of empowerment, meaning everybody talks about AI on different perspectives, job disruptions. Nevertheless, I do see it, or we do see it as an opportunity to actually provide young Africans and people all over the world with agency to take destinies in their own hand, to create businesses, to use them as a research assistant, as a tool, just in general to experience the world differently from where they've experienced it. So yeah, this is how I see it.
I love that. I think from like our perspective, we're looking at it oftentimes through an enterprise angle. So one thing we focus at Andela is placing top talent with enterprise placement pathways around the world. And so when we think about tools like Codex, we're thinking about it through that very specific lens of how do we think about access, but it's also the training and the enablement to make them successful in those environments. And so when you're thinking about it, from the OpenAI perspective, and what does enablement look like at its scale on the continent?
True. Yeah, I think you've touched on two very important points, right? Access is great, and obviously from an OpenAI perspective, we do have currently 900 million weekly ChatGPT users, many of which are on the continent. Nevertheless, access is one thing, but education is another. Capacity building a source. So for this reason, we've launched the OpenAI Academy, which we launched for the first time in Nigeria, and also the Codex Ambassador Program, because we do believe that our products like Codex can actually help people create their own destiny. Whether you want to become a lawyer, whether you want to create your own fintech, I think the message that we stress through our tools is empowerment, and to empowerment comes scalability by partnerships. And for this reason, I do enjoy this collaboration, which we've obviously the first of many, many more. And yeah, it's exciting. Obviously, having partners like yourselves on board who happen to have the knowledge base, who happen to have the network, and for us then to just add on with our tools. This is just a match made in heaven. It's incredible.
I have to say that it's been just such a rewarding experience to watch the developers from the Andela and Talent Network go through this Codex training program we've done. And one thing we were remarking upon internally is that these tools just enable developers to think bigger and move faster.
Yeah.
And to go from idea, we have some developers, we'll see in the presentations, that have gone from idea to near production environment in a matter of 48 hours.
Wow.
And they're driving these ideas with inspiration of their lived experiences, their professional goals, all made possible by these tools.
Absolutely.
And the ability to learn and innovate and get up to speed and be really, truly fluent in these tools is just so exciting. And
Absolutely.
And one thing that we're just so excited about to be in this partnership is to be able to drive this, again, training, this enablement at scale.
Absolutely.
Across all the subregions of the continent. So.
Yeah, I think again you've touched on the message of empowerment, right? People being able to use this tool to their betterment, and actually to even hear what you just said, right? People were able to go from ideation within 40 hours to execution. I do believe that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for the world, but also more so for Africa. So therefore, obviously me being the African lead of the company, I'm super excited to see what these tools can do for the continent.
And another thing that I've been just sort of dwelling upon is that talent isn't fixed in place or time, right? Like we can't contain talent to a geography or on a specific tool. And so another thing that I see in this motion is Andela participated in a hackathon at your headquarters back in April. We came in second place, by the way. But what I think made us successful and what made us stand out was that we sourced ideas for that hackathon from the network. So all of the ideas were coming, and a lot were focusing on resource availability or scarcity or access to bandwidth, all of these sort of lived experiences and how the innovation came out of those. And so we were really sort of remarking on how that was sort of bringing African talent to San Francisco. And now I love that this program we've done together here in Nairobi is about bringing San Francisco to Nairobi. And how do we repeat that sort of at scale, and how do we retell that story of driving impact and commingling ideas and innovation, different approaches to innovation? Because I think that's quite a good point as well, if I do say so myself, is not just thinking about tools in a fixed regional context, but how are we bringing this abroad, and how we're bringing abroad here.
Yeah, and I do. That's one thing I actually love about AI, right? It's a cross-sectoral impact, but also its ability to transcend borders. And I think the example that you just mentioned, right, the connection between San Francisco and Nairobi, while innovation in different places may be different, nevertheless, to see what people, if given the opportunity and access, can actually do with this incredible technology, such as AI, it's another proof that the better we need to improve access, and the more opportunities can come out of the continent, not only to solve African issues or create African opportunities, but rather creating opportunities for the world. So it's a lot of excitement.
And going back just to sort of this enterprise context, so obviously employment is a big component to access. And so from OpenAI's perspective, how are you thinking about the training and enablement specifically for enterprise talent, for enterprise use for enterprise on the continent?
Yeah, the platform that we use within OpenAI is the OpenAI Academy, because if you take a look at the OpenAI Academy, we do have different partnerships, many of which happen to be universities. And we do see the university space as a convener of different industries, right? So for instance, we had different OpenAI academies for government, OpenAI academies for different operators, be it in the fintech space, banking, or healthcare. And so our ability to perceive this from an enterprise perspective is really to convene and train, so that hopefully these trainings can lead to people joining their respective industries or creating startups it doesn't really matter, but we do see the training component as an important one. So, and obviously having Andela as a collaborator in this space is quite exciting. And yeah, um,
Yeah, it's been a big sort of internal effort to sort of start segmenting the training approaches for, to your point, sort of how do you train a government
yeah,
enterprise for government space? How do you train for the startup ecosystems, for startup scale ups, and then enterprise?
absolutely.
Because those are three very different sort of
Yeah,
production cultures,
yeah,
let's say.
yeah.
And so we've been doing a tremendous amount of work figuring out sort of what is that skills taxonomy per different job descriptions, per different types of organizations
Yeah.
that are ingesting these tools, because the different organizations are getting different types of ROI
Yeah.
associated with them. Their talent makeup of their workforce
Yeah.
is very different.
Yeah.
So when we look at government, when we look at maybe NGOs, they maybe don't have in-house innovation
That's true.
teams, or they
That's
don't
true.
have dedicated data science
That's true.
teams like you might see in finance and telecom.
Yeah.
So that training piece, and again, how do you sort of think about that at scale from the talent side, and how do we, through these partnerships, come up with ways to think bigger and reach more people, and train sort of at mass on these tools.
Yeah, and I think that's one beautiful thing about the Open Academy, because there's not one set curricula, but we do adjust it to the people who are being trained. Right, I've mentioned government, and also in Nigeria, the first one we hosted last year, for instance, was with the University of Lagos, and we had different stakeholders coming, right, from students, from software developers, and a lot of people who were just curious how they can benefit from our tool. But one thing I love about the Open Academy is not, the training doesn't happen from the corporate sense where we speak about how ChatGPT can be used in San Francisco, right? Yes, we do speak about ChatGPT and other products, but the other side and ownership is owned by our partner, in that sense, the university, because we would like to understand how AI is being understood from that perspective, local context. In this case, it was Nigeria, where the professors have done a phenomenal job. And so this year, I'm very much looking forward to launching even more. Starting with the OpenAI Forum, which is a convening place we are hosting next week in partnership with Innovation City in Cape Town. And obviously, we recently launched the OpenAI Codex Ambassador Program with amazing ambassadors appointed, two gentlemen who hosted the first meetups. Even seeing that enthusiasm and even that convening power, how within organically structure, you just convene over 200 people just to come for the sake of training. Yeah, it is. It certainly is.
Yeah, there's a real demand for training, and you've mentioned the university programs a couple of times, which are so important, because when we look at sort of the trends of talent, there just aren't going to be enough engineers to feed the demand for what these tools we're going to create.
Yeah.
So it becomes quite an interesting story of there's sort of the talent generation aspect of it, where that talent needs to come from universities. But then there's also the upskilling part of the story, where we need to rapidly be upskilling existing talent. And by the way, not just confined to the developer community, because we also need to be, and then you can get into what does it look like for junior developers, mid-career, senior developers. But I think that what's great about sort of what you're producing, the content that OpenAI is producing through this the OpenAI Academy, and then how it gets picked up through partnerships, like what we're doing at Andela, is to then feed that into existing sort of enterprise partnerships.
Absolutely. Yeah, one beautiful discovery I always make is whenever I get the question, oh, can your team come and provide a training? And then I always point them to the OpenAI Academy, because it's really, not everybody within our company can be everywhere. So this is just our way to seeking to democratize access to knowledge related to AI. And the beautiful thing about it is, for instance, if you want to learn how to scale your company with ChatGPT, you can actually learn it there. It just takes you to click on it. You don't necessarily depend on the people. And that's also something I oftentimes stress, whether I happen to be the Africa lead of the company or not, this technology is bigger than my role. And this is something I always love to stress, right? So hopefully, if one of those people who attends one of the Open Academies or other trainings, it's just beautiful to kind of hopefully to pass the baton at some point, and again, which can be enabled to AI, because AI provides people to be creative. AI provides the people the opportunity to be innovative, and this is very much tied to the spirit of Africa.
Thank you. Well, and I'll have one closing thought, which is that we really sort of think about ourselves at Andela as that human layer of the AI infrastructure stack. And so the same way that companies are investing in their chips, in their compute, in their tools, we're here to make sure that they're investing in their talent the same way. And again, that could be through talent acquisition or reskilling. And so we work, closely with partners like OpenAI in an effort to make sure that that training doesn't happen in a vacuum. So that enablement piece of making sure that we can actually train, assess, deploy on a continuous loop to make sure that those enterprises and the talent themselves are getting the maximum return on their investment so that everyone can continue to be as excited about these tools as we are.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank
It was
you so
wonderful
much.
to have you.
Thank you so much, Kate and Emmanuel, for such a thoughtful and energizing conversation. And before we go any further, I realized that I jumped into the program earlier and I forgot to properly introduce myself. Many of you guys don't know who I am. So I am Wainaina Kasioka, and I'm honored to be your MC tonight for the Andela event. I'll be guiding us through the program and making sure that all of us joining online feel that all of us who are joining online will feel as much as home as possible. I am part of Andela. I'm basically what they call a champion, and I am also one of the talent pool. As you can see, I'm branded. Yeah, even though I'm from. So let's jump back to the conversation. So one thing I hope everyone caught is that tools like Codex are not just for helping people code faster, but they're here to help builders move from idea to execution and at a much faster rate than it would take the traditional way of doing things. And this matters because tonight we're going to see some amazing projects that started off as ideas and were built into real world working solutions within a very short time because of the power of Codex. I also appreciated Emmanuel's point about AI being able to cross borders and help us solve real world problems, including African problems. And I believe that Africans are the ones who can solve African problems. So with tools like this, it makes it very easy and very fast. So this is powerful because it reminds us that we're just not just consumers of this technology. We can be the builders and contributors and leaders in this space. And at Andela, we've already seen the impact of this kind of innovation through AI-focused hackathons and builder programs. We even participated in one, as Kate mentioned, and even though we became number 2, we still enjoyed ourselves, I think, and we came up with such amazing ideas. And I believe that those ideas did come from the same talent pool that we're talking about. The bigger win for us is that we saw the possibility that when African talent is given the tools, support, and platform, we can build boldly. To everyone watching online, stay with us because we are not yet done. I'm seeing the chat is live, and I'm seeing that Nairobi is mentioned and people are joining from home, from the couch. I don't know if anyone is joining from their bed, but anyways, I love the commitment. Wherever you're joining from, thank you so much for being part of us. Next, we're going to move on to the capstone showcase. So the top projects from the Andela and OpenAI Codex Accelerator will be presented, and you will help us decide the winner through audience voting. So your vote is very, very important. In Swahili tunasema kura yako ni muhimu sana. That's what we say. Anyways, so please stay close, follow the link that has been shared on the screen, and you'll join us at 6:30. So that is in the next 10 minutes. So stretch your arms and come ready to cheer on the finalists. In one word, in the comment section, in one word, I'd like you guys to mention to us in one word what you're hoping to see from the projects tonight. You guys don't have an idea of exactly what it is that was being built, but what do you think you're about to see in the next few minutes? So you can maybe drop that in the chat, and we will see you shortly in the presentation and the AdWords stream. So please join and stay with us. Thank you.